Hi, ladies, and welcome back to week 2, module 1, all about the stages of transformation. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. Okay, so our stages of transformation here are, let's just dive right in, right? So first we have awareness, right? And that is knowing what to do. So we're aware of what's going on around us. We're aware that we are either binge eating or emotional eating or a combination of the two. So we are aware of what is going on. But the second thing is that we have to have absolute willingness. So the reason why you started this journey to overcome your binge eating and your emotional eating isn't going to be the same reason that keeps you going. So you might have started because you wanted to start losing weight, you wanted to start feeling better in your clothes, but this isn't going to be the reason that keeps you going, because we're going to be changing throughout this process. So it's super, super important to figure out what the real why is that you will keep going. So like, for instance, maybe it's just because you want to be healthy and you want to be the best version of yourself that you can be. You want to make sure that you have energy for your kids or grandkids or whatever it is that you know is your why in life. So I want you to take some time to really think about what started this journey for you, but what is going to be the reason that you continuously go after staying on this track for yourself. And then the third thing is massive, consistent, persistent action every single day. I know that there's going to be times where we're like, oh, we don't need to do this or we don't need to do that. But in those moments is when you probably need to do it more, because the one time that we push it off is going to be then it's going to turn into day 2 or day 3. So even if it's just, sticking to that one promise that you make to yourself for every single day and sticking with that and always going back to that you can trust yourself and having that massive, consistent, persistent action with yourself is super important for this journey, because we're always going to have triggers that pop up in our lives for the rest of our lives. Things are going to show up in different forms. Things aren't going to show up the way that we expect them to. Sometimes other people are going to play an influence on our progress, right? Like even though we don't want them to, and the ultimate goal in life is not to let anybody else influence our behaviors and our actions, but we know that in time, like, this does happen. So it's super, super important for us to use the tools that we learn throughout this program every single day. So I want you to go ahead and take out a piece of paper, and on one half of the piece of paper, I want you to write what your 2 biggest changes are that you're committed to making with your relationship with food. And then on the other side, go ahead and write what has been preventing you from making these changes so far. And I would love for you to share these 2 things and your what's been preventing you from making these changes so far inside of the Facebook group, so we can talk about it and really understand what is going on here and start to unravel why things are happening the way they are for you. And then you're going to go ahead and flip your paper over. And in detail, I want you to describe what your life would look like in 6 months if you stuck with the 2 commitments that you've made over the next 6 weeks that we're working together. What does your extraordinary life look like for you? How do you show up to functions? What are you making for your meals? How are you talking to the people around you? How are you talking to yourself? What kind of clothes are you wearing? Extreme details for yourself. And I want you to play so big right now that if you think it and it comes to your mind, write it down, because I know there are going to be times where something's going to come to your mind and you're like, oh my goodness, but can I have that? If you can dream it, you can achieve it. Cliche, yes, but it's so, so, so true. And then on another piece of paper, I want you to go ahead and make a list of all of your strengths. This is such an important list for you to have in your back pocket, because there'll be times where we're going through those downward spiral thoughts within ourselves and we don't think that we do anything right. So having this list as a tool that is right there for you at any given moment, and you can keep this list like at your desk, you can keep a list on your phone, but make sure you're handwriting it as well, and then you can type it in your phone or take a picture of it. That way you're connecting that pen to paper and the brain waves with each other. So it's super, super important that you, again, play full out. Don't discredit anything that you have as a strength, or that you might be like, oh, but is that really a strength? Because if you feel it's a strength, then it is, and that is all that matters. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here. And I'm back. And I also wanted you guys to understand that there are 3 steps to understanding like more and more about ourselves, right? So first, I want you to realize that everything in our lives is a pattern. Okay, so everything's a pattern, but all patterns that we have are learned, and some are either in an avoidance of pain, and then the other pattern that we could learn is a desire of pleasure. So everything's a pattern, and all patterns are learned, but then all of our patterns meet a set of emotional needs. So these are things that we need for survival, right? But what we want are external factors from us, but they're not for survival. So I just wanted to share this with you, something to keep in mind, that everything that is going on right now inside your life is a learned behavior, because it's part of something that you've learned over time through generational things, whether it's, the yo-yo dieting, or how you turn to food for comfort, or you continuously are binging at night. All of these things you've learned from some outsource in your life, but now it's time to take back that control and really start to understand how we can start to transform. So that is all that I have for this module, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya.